Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Startup Talks. We are joined today by Mr. Nomaan Bashir. He is insurance industry veteran and HSonian. Started his career in the telco sector with Paktel, cable and wireless, that is, and then moved into the insurance industry and been associated with it ever since. He enjoys over 15 years of experience in the sector, and he's been through it, done that, and he's seen all the troubles and all the good times of the industry. So he's well versed with it. He's recently co-founded two startups by the name of Insurance Bazaar and Ozoned Digital. And we are grateful that he's joined us today, and we are here to explore the insurance space and how is it being digitized. Assalamu alaikum, Naman Sahab. How are you doing?
Walaikum Assalam ji. Absolutely fine. Thank you so much, ji.
Mm, That's
Thank you so much for the warm intro.
that's fine, sir. I hope I've done justice here.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm, that's great. So, Noman Sahab, where is the taking a traditional view first of all, right? To build up on the conversation, where was the insurance industry up until this digitization wave that is taking over Pakistan? And what do you foresee? How is it going to affect the whole sector?
Okay. So, as far as the insurance industry is concerned, if I look at it from holistically from a global standpoint first, insurance industry generally has been laggards in terms of quick adoption of technology.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say technology, we're talking about building up ecosystems which are very tech friendly, and they are providing solutions end to end to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, globally, they have been laid back, and I normally say it's they're at least 25 to 30 years behind the banks when it comes to them kind of realigning to the digitized wave.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Pakistan, there have been efforts, there have been instances where if, stuff has actually been kind of executed within the industry, maybe from the incumbent space, to kind of incorporate technology. However, I still believe that there's a lot that can be done, and I think with the with the startup ecosystem buzzing,
Mm-hmm.
all 100% of them in the tech space, somehow or the other. It's very important for the insurance industry to sort of align their priorities with the growing ecosystem, because with a meager 8.81% GDP penetration,
Mm-hmm.
it highlights the level of opportunity that sits out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, from an industry standpoint and from a gap standpoint, we are far behind with the rest of the region. But having said that, I see quite a few players coming into the space, from the aggregation space and from the micro insurance space and consultancy space. So there are bits and pieces that are happening around the industry to sort of help get aligned with the digital wave of change.
Okay. Now, you are a risk management expert, right? Qualified for it as well with an MSc from Birmingham, right? You recently, last year, that is, co-founded two startups. One is Insurance Bazaar, the aggregator, I believe, right? And the
Yeah.
other is Ozone Digital. You launched both of them at the same time. What's the first of all the difference between the two, right? And how is it working on digitizing the space? Because I see past couple of months you've done some partnerships as well within the corporate sector.
Okay. So our journey in the startup, myself and my two co-founders, Faisal and Asher, was primarily to get into the platform space.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say platform space, that's mainly to do with B2B and B2B2C.
Mm-hmm.
And Ozone Digital was founded based on that. Our main area of focus, which differentiates us today from the rest, is that we are full insurance value chain driven.
Mm-hmm.
So we do not look at any aspect of the value chain in isolation, for example, claims or acquisitions on its own. We
Mm-hmm.
look at everything that happens within the value chain, okay? Which means it allows us to look, it allows us and gives us the power to have a one view or one window view
Mm-hmm.
for every customer that can interact with the platform. So Ozone Digital was set up from that perspective, and we were lucky to sort of have partners from the industry, large insurance companies who signed up with us from life as well as for general.
Mm-hmm.
However, having got the expertise for the value chain, it became quite clear for us in the very early days that there is only so much we will be able to leverage from an existing insurer.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because an existing insurer has its own set of product domains,
Mm-hmm.
expertise domains,
Mm-hmm.
and the risk appetite for that matter. Okay,
Yeah.
and based on that, they had, I would say, limited use cases.
Mm-hmm.
So it, with the value chain platform, and because again for us the mothership is Ozone, and
Mm-hmm.
that is where we are able to have multiple use cases. It
Mm-hmm.
was, it was evident for us at that time that we needed to pivot
Mm-hmm.
and have our own marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
because that marketplace would allow us to give use cases
Mm-hmm.
to the industry
Mm-hmm.
how things can actually happen. So the reason why Insurance Bazaar was born
Mm-hmm.
was because we wanted to leverage on other creative product options that sit out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted to give them the use cases and tell them how things may happen. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not something that we are enforcing onto the industry. We're just sharing our suggestions, our inputs.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we are lucky to have partners who are very open minded,
Mm-hmm.
and they have given us or allowed us a space to have that conversation. We have signed up with a large insurer for extended warranty programs, and another insurance company for telematics programs, and and similar programs like that. So what we're doing is we are showcasing and we are trying to bring those programs onto Insurance Bazaar's platform, and
Mm-hmm.
based on that, find an opportunity to grow the market.
Junaid, that's great. Now, mm, you probably remember the reason why we are having this talk. You posted an analysis of the insurance industry in Pakistan, right? And let me pull that up. It was a chart of everything, or everybody who's operating within the space, right? Can you shed some light on that? How are all those things interconnected? Right?
All right, so it's I can say that it's a this is an effort
Mm-hmm.
to identify the key players in the insurance ecosystem of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
We may not have captured 100% of that, and we are open to filling in the gaps, and we are doing that. We've already issued two versions of that. I've been following industry market maps for a long time, and whatever we have been seeing within Pakistan is mainly fintech driven. Although
Yeah.
insuretech at some point in time was a subset of fintech,
Yeah.
in some parts it is still considered as fintech, but on its own, the industry stands at at a large scale now today on its own,
Mm-hmm.
with over $6 billion of investment globally. Okay, so it has its own weight today.
Yeah.
So hence, it was important to kind of highlight
Yeah.
that identifies the kind of players, the kind of sectors, the kind of areas within which work is being done. So what we have done in this is we've tried to encapsulate some of the players.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, incumbents sit at the heart of it. They are the ones who carry the risk. They are the ones who provide the the appetite and the and the products.
Mm-hmm.
But any industry, and most importantly, when it comes to the incumbent insurers,
Mm-hmm.
if even if you look globally, they are now having to partner with like-minded organizations in the consultancy space or the insurtech space to really help them grow. Because again, insurance companies have a certain focus in which they are developing their business. However, when it comes to alternative ways of doing business, not bandwidth
Yeah.
within the insurance companies to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
So hence, the insurtech insurance companies partnership, or a combination, is helping out a lot. So hence, what we've done is we've kind of painted in not so many words. I mean, this is version 1. We've already issued version 2 of that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
we've put down, for example, areas where, on a B2B perspective, who are the players in the
Yeah.
market? So people who are working on the ERP solutions or platform solutions for the insurance industries, we've identified that. We've also identified who are the third-party administrators, for example, who are the ones who are working on certain verticals in the market in the insurance industry, which are now getting traction globally,
Mm-hmm.
and in Pakistan have not been able to do that at that scale.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because people were either not sure or they didn't have the resources to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
like the cases of embedded or on demand or pass, all these areas, some work has been done. I mean, I won't say on platform as a service because that's only us. But when it comes to on demand or embedded, some work has been done by some tech savvy insurance companies,
Mm-hmm.
but majorly the space has been majorly unattended. So what I've done is I've highlighted the areas, looking at the global scope of kind of players within the space, and it allows us to see how all these different companies or different sectors, be it broker, be it marketplace comparisons, they are kind of working within that space with the incumbent insurers
Mm-hmm.
to sort of build the value for the ecosystem. So this is an effort to kind of paint it only for insurance companies and not just as a subset or a small portion of fintech.
What I found more appealing looking at it, because uh, the main reason for speaking to you was because uh, apart from brokerage or health tech, you see Ozone Digital all over, right? And it does actually feel like, looking at it and from the talk you've just given, right, that Ozone Digital is striving to be more of an enabler for the whole ecosystem, right?
Ecosystem.
Right. Can you shed some light on that? How is it helping the traditional insurers, right? Because and also like you to touch on one thought, because insurance in Pakistan, I myself a believer in insurance. I'm insured, my family is insured, my cars are insured, right? The property is insured, right? But at the end of the day, there is a thought about an insurance. Some senior insurance personnel many years ago said something, and it's one of those things that sometimes you hear a comment and just sticks to your head, right? He was like यार हम लोग तो कागज़ का टुकड़ा बेचते हैं, जब हम ये बेच सकते हैं तो सब कुछ बिकता है. Right? So how is Ozone Digital, right, acting as an enabler and making this shift for the whole insurance sector?
Okay, so first of all, yes, Ozone Digital did prepare this ecosystem, and the intention was not to just paint us up there. The intention was only to identify what are the opportunities for everyone.
Yeah.
The space is too large, Taimur.
Yeah.
Ourselves on our own, we cannot cover everything. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important for the people and it's important for the stakeholders in the industry to see
Mm-hmm.
what are they missing out on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Ozone's intention here is not to blow its own horn.
Yeah.
The intention is to identify the areas of opportunity. And what we, as I said at the outset of the call, the way we are adding value, or we are, aspiring to add value, is based on the value chain. Okay. And if you can allow me to sort of share one screen, I can share it with you as well.
Sure.
That our purpose is to sort of identify, what are the kind of sorry, just one second.
I will
All
have
right.
to
So
see.
what are the, so here you go. So I don't know whether you can see it or not.
I can see
All right.
it.
Okay. So okay. So what we're trying to show here, what we're trying to achieve here, is that at the company, we do not look at the insurance company on its own as the only stakeholder within the ecosystem.
Yeah.
We look at everyone who has to contribute to the ecosystem as a player. So be it a broker, be it an agent, be it a corporate, be it a customer, insurer, workshop, hospital, anything. So anyone who has anything to do with the ecosystem has a role to play within the development of the ecosystem. And what you see in the red circle out there is basically the value chain. And the value chain out there, starting from acquisition, where you do see people working and contributing to the industry in terms of aggregators. But what is missing is the complete weaving of the value chain. So what you see here is that from acquisition till renewals, anything and everything that's happening within the insurance ecosystem, we are able to have an effect or have a contribution to the industry. And because of these solutions that we have, whether it's Ozone Platform, Insurance Bazaar, or Ozone Connect, which is what our API solution is, what are we able to achieve? So to answer your question, we are able to get into new products. We can get into new markets. We can do financial inclusion. We are able to do on-demand insurance. We can do embedded insurance, value chain efficiency, and so on and so forth. So what we're trying to achieve, and part to the market at large, is, guys, do not look at one portion of the journey in isolation. Every bit and piece of that journey has an impact. So, for example, from a claim standpoint, we recently won an award from Amazon, the only insuretech that got that award. And what we did was we created a AI and ML model for motor claims. And what it did was that it kind of removed the requirement of initial claim survey from a surveyor. So the model itself is able to do an initial survey. How does that impact? Regardless of going into the fact that it's playing with people's livelihoods, that's not the point. It kind of removes the requirement of a surveyor to do physical survey for a vehicle's claim, and you can actually do it in 5 minutes rather than wait for a day. अच्छा, अब उन लोगों के लिए जो जिनकी परेशानी है कि यार उनकी नौकरियां चली जाएंगी, this is one of the feedback I received from many of the CEOs कि यार आप नौकरियों के पीछे ना पड़े. So that's not the point. You can actually utilize the same resources effectively somewhere else and add value to your own company. So relieve, you have more spend to do on your ecosystem if you are able to relieve this from a certain area. So all of a sudden the claims become seamless, 5 minutes job, and initial estimation is done, and the customer is guided towards the workshop. And again, this is not like an acquisition, for example. This is not, for example, looking at the fact that I lead generate kar diya. I'm looking at one pain point of an insurance industry and providing a solution. And how can I do that? I can only do it with a value chain. I can't do it otherwise. So this is the reason why I shared this with you, just to kind of identify that, look, we are here to add value wherever we find an opportunity. So I'm not, looking for, only selling. I'm looking for adding value by selling different stuff, because this 0.81% is unfortunately very dismal. This 0.81% is dismal because हमारी एक तो mandatory insurances जो हैं वो enforce नहीं होंगी, ठीक है, और enforce करने के लिए हमें industry की भी help चाहिए, regulator भी अपनी तरफ से help जो करे वो कर सके वो करे, and government की तरफ से भी, because again all of this can only happen when all of the stakeholders work together. Imagine कि आपकी only 500 odd million rupees के करीब की मोटर की book है. All of a sudden, with just like around 10% penetration of the total space, अगर आप mandatory insurances को activate करते हैं तो कितने गुना ऊपर बढ़ जाती है. And this is the government losing money on its expected taxes and revenue. And this is what we are saying, yeah, look, you need to have these conversations, open up the industry so that you are at least at par with your next door neighbor. 3.5% पे बैठा हुआ है इस वक्त इंडिया.
Right.
ठीक है, with over 80% penetration in terms of vehicles, not two-wheelers but four-wheelers. 80% से ऊपर उनकी penetration in terms of insurance. हमारी 10% से भी नीचे है. Look at the gap. So these are things that we believe are required, to pump up the industry. और जब industry उस level पे आ जाए, उसके बाद आप सौ बिस्मिल्लाह, you're able to do stuff otherwise because scale बनेगा, आपकी job creation होगी. All of this is going to thrive because of that. Unfortunately, that's not the case today.
Acha sir, thank you very much for highlighting that and comparing where the insurance industry in Pakistan stands in comparison to the region. Sorry. Now, I'm personally a believer that insuretech comes under the bigger umbrella of the fintech space, right? Because insurance is all about finance. Now, unfortunately, in Pakistan, fintech is considered to be and just limited to payments, right? Do you see that changing? Do you see insuretech to be come to the main foray of technology and fall under the domain of fintech space?
Look, again, I respect your point of view. It's fine. You're absolutely fine in that, point of view. What the reason why I advocate insuretech and on its own is because it has the potential to stand on its own feet. Just to give you an example of the investments that you talked about, in first half of 2021, we had over $32 million worth of investment, for example, only in a space of fintech, जिसमें आपने कुछ payments के या कुछ उस relevant space की बात की. Insurtech में zero, nothing. In 2016, again as a comparison, $11 million were invested in next door neighbor India. 2016, 2020, that's $300 million investment. Insurtech only. Nothing to do with payments, nothing to do with fintech, the wider fintech.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have at least got 2 unicorns sitting there today in India, in the insurtech only space. Okay. So, what does that, highlight? It highlights that there is a lot of potential in the industry itself, because industry ka potential abhi tak, utilize hi nahi hua hua. With 0.81%, what can I talk about? I mean, there is not much to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there is so much opportunity that lies outside for everyone in the industry. And that's the reason why the map was also shown. Guys, look, this is where you can go. Venture out, find out your way, and you will be able to add value to the overall ecosystem. So hence, I am a true believer that, in the insurtech space, there will be investments coming in. Yes, there is a certain level of maturity required. Abhi bhi dekhein agar aap, to, certain incumbent insurers have gained or have captured investments in the last 6 months or so. Okay. So, but at the end of the day, it's these, outliers in the insurtech. आप aggregators देख लें, आप कुछ brokers देख लें, या कुछ consultants देख लें, यानी हम जैसे pass वाले solution providers देख लें. These outliers are the ones which generally globally are attracting investments. And पाकिस्तान में जो अभी तक हमें जो challenge नजर आया वो यही है कि लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि ये चीजें भी होती हैं. They are happy with brick and mortar. Health और motor बिकती है, बिकने दो. किसी को जरूरत ही नहीं कुछ और सोचने की. And that is the reason why the industry is not able to grow. There is so much out there in this. I mean, आज cyber के ऊपर आप देख लें, आज जो एक news छपी है, I think it's everybody is aware of it in terms of the records of, yeah. So imagine the opportunity that sits out there for cyber insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we just looking at, are we just only going to be looking at health and motor, which are the most riskiest of products to have on your book?
Mm-hmm.
Why not have other products there? And you can't have it unless you venture out. You can't have it if you don't have tools, you don't have resources, you don't have talent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the outliers are supposed to provide.
Mm-hmm.
People like us who have global experiences with companies outside the country
Mm-hmm.
do carry that experience. And that's where we are trying to sort of bring that on board and create a value for for everyone in that ecosystem. Again, we're not imposing anything. We're just saying, yeah, look, guys, this is a space that you're missing out on.
Mm-hmm.
Why not explore? I mean, the market is too large.
So, um, uh, coming to the technicalities, right? Of course, it's not simple, but fairly, in comparison, you can say that it may be simple to onboard um, a motor and life insurance onto the platform or through any digital platform. But insurance is, like you said, much more than that, right? Not considering the sectors that you just mentioned, right? But traditionally, there have been some work done with regards to project insurance or shippers insurance and those kinds of things. N- Are the platforms that are operating in Pakistan right now, are they geared up to cater to such needs as well?
Okay, so as far as when we talk about platforms, the only or mainly the platform or platforms that are working right now are the core ERP solutions of every insurance company. Okay, the core ERP solutions are supposed to be underwriting the business and reinsuring the business, financials of the business, so on and so forth. So basically, policy acquisition and policy servicing, right? So these are policy admin systems. But having said that, what these systems, in most of the cases, I'm not going to say all of them, in most of the cases, are not able to do is to have the reach
Mm-hmm.
for a wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
They are good to have, the work done. I mean, again, insurance industry, don't take me wrong, they have very solid platforms in terms of getting their work done. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो काम नहीं करते, they work perfectly. Problem सिर्फ ये है, they are not able to expand beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
और वो expansion तभी होगी when you are able to have flexibility within the systems or outside the system that help you communicate. So let's say shippers कह लें या marine insurance कह लें. So marine के अंदर there have been efforts, and there are efforts in the industry where electronic marine kind of a communication is set up between different stakeholders and insurance companies. But in many of the companies, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, when it wherever you talk about kind of digitization,
Mm-hmm.
तो normally digitization जो है वो retail product के साथ ज्यादा आती है. And when it comes to the commercial space, yes, digitization has an impact, but in certain other categories. For example, efficiencies. For example, IoT relevant data collections, ठीक है, analytics. ये सारी की सारी चीजें जो हैं वो आप बाकी lines of business के साथ कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वो भी तब when you have a platform that can talk to those opportunities. So for example, industry 4.0 is being instituted in many of the companies in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
But how many insurance companies can actually talk directly to industry 4.0 relevant tech? Many, not many, बहुत थोड़ी. ठीक है, so it's all manual surveying, manual analysis, manual everything here and there. Again, वही बात है कि probably it's because it's to do with the scale which is required to really invest there. And you can do that. I mean, if you can't do it, and if that's not your forte, which is what I'm trying to say, आपकी जो आउटलायर्स हैं, ये जो इंश्योरटेक कंपनीज हैं जो अब डेवलप होंगी इंशाल्लाह आगे फ्यूचर के अंदर, ये वो टास्क करेंगी जिससे वो आपके अपॉर्चुनिटीज के विंडोज जो हैं वो अटैच होंगे. So all in all, I think in other lines as well, there are lots of opportunity. For example, warranty. We've signed up with an insurance company recently, and its warranty is not rocket science. I was underwriting warranty for 15 years in AIG, ठीक है, but पाकिस्तान में कोई नहीं करता था. And again, it's just a matter of just bringing the knowledge that we have gained back to the country and saying, yeah, this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have a willing incumbent insurer to support you, nothing like it. And that's the kind of, initiative that these new players need to take to add value back to the insurance companies.
Chale, that's great, sir. Now, we are over time, but still, I'd like to squeeze in a question or two if you're okay with it. Um,
Yeah, sure.
um, uh, you mentioned earlier about funding in the fintech space that Pakistan has received, right? It's a pretty hot space in Pakistan right now as far as startup funding is concerned. Your startups, I believe, are bootstrapped still. तो सर आप
Yeah.
कब तक जेब से पैसे लगाएंगे? कभी फंडिंग रेस करने का इरादा है?
No, no, we are already working towards getting funding. We are already in chats with VCs and other parties who may be interested to sort of get into that space for funding. So it's not that we're doing bootstrap all the way and we want to do bootstrap all the way. We can't get to the next level without getting the right funding in. So yeah, we are in that space, and hopefully, inshallah, we will be able to close a couple of conversations that we are having as we speak.
चलें, best of luck with that, sir. In the end,
Thank you.
uh, Nawaz sir, where do you see the startup ecosystem heading? What are the issues that need to be addressed? Right, you're sitting in Lahore. It's the hub of the ecosystem. There are loads of startups coming out from there. Um, what do you see the outlook to be?
Yeah, the outlook is very bright.
Mm-hmm.
The only challenge is resources that are available to those uh, to the startups who are coming up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things with regards to resources, एक तो ये है कि talent की depth जो है उसको time लगेगा बनने में. It's going to take some time for the depth to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So the talent that we have available for this ecosystem, uh, you know, uh, it needs to be nurtured, developed, and matured. And based on that, my shout out to that talent is to have the patience to learn something and then take the next step. So the retention of talent for the startups is also a big challenge. Not just that, I think कि startups से हट के अब तो even established companies के लिए issue होने लग गए because some of the startups have got good funding
Yeah.
and they've been throwing money left, right, and center. So talent is one big issue. Secondly, for us, I think we are lucky. It's not a challenge. I think we are lucky to have a regulator that's very forward looking. SECP has actually taken so many steps in terms of supporting with the sandboxing environment and all the other stuff that they are doing in terms of digitization, that it has actually helped us, sort of gain that momentum and traction. So, we have an enabling, environment in terms of the regulator, but I think what my request from this forum to SCCP would be that there needs to be some bridge between SCCP and the incumbent insurers for SCCP to enable the inclusion of the new incumbents, or not incumbents, but the new players or the new support mechanisms like us. वो एक credibility factor जो है वो add करता है for the insurtechs. Not that we don't have experience from the industry, we do, but at the end, it is a startup. It's not a well matured, established company over 5 years old. So hence, any support from them to kind of enable that gelling into the system will be very, very helpful as well. And I think, apart from that, as I said, from my own space perspective, my shout out to everybody who is hearing is that there's a lot that can be done in the insurtech space. Don't shy off. Don't just look at one area to focus on. There are many of the areas that you can actually pick up on. I've shared enough information without shying, because at the end of the day, whoever gets to learn, I don't have any issues with that. So the space is wide open for everyone.
That's great, sir. I totally agree with your thoughts on the shortage of talent. I would just like to add to that that I believe there should be some regulation on that respect too, so that companies, they don't snatch away resources from other businesses. Right? This is actually a trend that has taken hold within the ecosystem, because everybody needs tech talent at some stage, at some point in their journey. Even traditional businesses who are moving on to digitization. So there's an acute shortage, no doubt about it. And there should be some sort of regulation, right? Some sort of penalties or anything of the sort, because if this bubble bursts, it will affect the whole ecosystem and affect everybody. Right.
Yeah,
Noman sir, thank you very much for your thoughts. Thank you for being here on Startup Talks. It
most
was
welcome.
lovely talking to you. It was really
Thank you for
eye-opening.
hosting me. Thank you so much.
Same here, sir. Have a great weekend.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah
Allah
Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.